Have you ever walked through a shopping mall, stopped in front of a sunglass kiosk, and wondered why a tiny piece of molded plastic and glass cost $300? You probably thought it was the brand name: Prada, Chanel, Ray-Ban. You assume you are paying for the legacy of the logo and the prestige of luxury fashion. But what if I told you that almost every single premium brand you see, regardless of the famous name stamped on the side, is manufactured by the exact same company? What if I told you that this single shadowy corporation doesn't just make the frames, but they also own the retail stores that sell them, the medical clinics that check your vision, the labs that grind your lenses, and even the vision insurance company that tells you exactly where you are allowed to shop? Welcome to the greatest illusion of choice in the modern economy. You are living in a world completely dominated by a secret monopoly that has quietly manipulated the market to charge you 1,000% markup on a medical device you literally need to function. This is the story of an empire built in plain sight, and how they conquered your face. To truly understand how deep this corporate rabbit hole goes, we have to first shatter the illusion of competition. When you walk into any major sunglasses store, you are instantly bombarded with options. It feels like a thriving, highly competitive free market. On one wall, you have the sporty, rugged appeal of Oakley. On another display, you find the timeless, vintage cool of Ray-Ban and Persol. And securely locked behind glass cases, you see the high-end luxury of Versace, Burberry, Bulgari, Coach, and Ralph Lauren. It feels like you are choosing between dozens of fierce, independent competitors fighting for your cash. But they are not competing at all. They are merely roommates, living under the exact same roof in Milan, Italy. Luxottica owns absolute titans like Ray-Ban and Oakley outright. But their true power lies in the fact that they also hold the exclusive licensing agreements to manufacture and distribute eyewear for almost every major luxury fashion house on the planet. When you buy designer frames, you are almost certainly buying a Luxottica product. They have effectively monopolized the premium eyewear industry, turning high-end boutique fashion into a massive, highly synchronized global assembly line. The same factory floors are pumping out frames for a dozen different competitors, creating a completely fabricated sense of variety. Controlling the manufacturing process was only the first step in their master plan for total domination. Making the glasses gives a company immense power, but controlling exactly where they are sold gives them absolute, unchecked control over the consumer. Let us say you decide to completely bypass the luxury brands. You do not care about fashion. You just want a reliable pair of prescription glasses to see your computer screen. So, you head over to your local LensCrafters. Well, Luxottica owns LensCrafters. Maybe you decide to go down the street to Pearl Vision instead. They own that franchise too. What if you stop by Target Optical while buying groceries? That is also run by Luxottica. How about you just want some casual shades for the beach, so you pop into Sunglass Hut? Yes, Luxottica owns Sunglass Hut and its thousands of global locations. They realized early on that if they controlled the physical retail space, they could dictate exactly what the consumer sees, tries on, and ultimately buys. They became the gatekeepers to the customer. And if an independent competitor gets too big, gets too popular, or simply refuses to play ball with their pricing demands, Luxottica can simply erase them from the market entirely. This is not just a paranoid conspiracy theory, it is exactly what happened to Oakley in the early 2000s. Back then, Oakley was a fiercely independent company and a dangerous rival to Luxottica's prized possession, Ray-Ban. Oakley was rapidly innovating, completely capturing the lucrative sports market, and their public stock was soaring. So, Luxottica decided to use their ultimate weapon. Because they owned Sunglass Hut and several other major eyewear retailers, they simply stopped stocking Oakley products in their stores. They evicted them from the shelves. Overnight, Oakley lost a massive, irreplaceable chunk of its global retail presence. Without the ability to reach the consumers who wanted to buy their sunglasses, Oakley's stock price plummeted, internal panic set in, and the once mighty brand was brought to its knees. And who was waiting patiently with a checkbook to buy the struggling, devalued company at a staggering discount? Luxottica. They swallowed their biggest, most threatening competitor whole, simply by locking them out of the retail stores they owned. It was a brutal, flawless execution of raw market power. But the web gets even stickier and much more insidious when you look at how the vast majority of people afford their prescription glasses, vision insurance. You get a new job, sign up for your healthcare benefits, and get a card in the mail from EyeMed, one of the largest vision networks in the United States. Surely, you think, the insurance company is a neutral, highly regulated third party looking out for your optical health, right? Wrong. Luxottica owns EyeMed, This is the exact point where the vertical integration becomes terrifying. Think about the inescapable cycle you are trapped in. Your Luxottica-owned insurance company restricts your network coverage, heavily directing you to go to a specific in-network provider. That authorized provider is inevitably a Luxottica-owned retail storefront like LensCrafters. When you walk into that store, you are immediately presented with a massive wall of frames, almost all of which are manufactured by Luxottica. You then use your Luxottica insurance benefits to buy a Luxottica frame at a Luxottica store. It is a completely closed loop, a perfect circle of profit. Your money leaves your wallet, travels through 3 seemingly independent entities, and ends up in the exact same bank account in Italy. For many years, there was only one single, glaring missing piece to this magnificent puzzle. Luxottica completely controlled the frames, the storefronts, and the insurance networks, but they did not control the actual clear glass or plastic that physically corrected your vision. They didn't own the lenses. That highly lucrative market was dominated by a French giant named Essilor, the largest manufacturer of ophthalmic lenses and prescription coatings in the world. So, in 2018, these two massive titans looked at each other and mutually decided that competing was entirely pointless. They merged, creating the undisputed juggernaut known as EssilorLuxottica. This monumental event wasn't just a corporate merger. It was the final boss battle of the eyewear industry, and the consumer lost. The combined behemoth now controls absolutely everything, from the raw materials of the optical lens to the final credit card transaction at the cash register. They control the anti-reflective coatings and transition technology they constantly upcharge you for. They are now a unified company worth well over $100 billion, operating with virtually no meaningful competition to keep their aggressive pricing in check. And that ultimately brings us to the most painful consequence of this shadowy empire: the final price you pay at the register. Because EssilorLuxottica operates in a comfortable vacuum of their own making, they can set prices to whatever they mathematically desire. The actual foundational cost to manufacture premium frames is just $10 to $20. Yet, at retail, that exact same price swells to $300 or $400. It is a staggering markup of well over 1,000%. The illusion of choice is so flawlessly executed that we gladly hand over our cash, entirely unaware that the game was rigged from the start.